Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday morning. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I want to get right to it because we've got reports of flooding already in spots, especially over toward Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago. Right of your screen, Tropical Depression 12. That's not a bother. Center of your screen, that's the strong tropical wave, tropical disturbance, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have a name, so it's not a tropical storm, but we know how these unnamed systems can really impact us throughout the Caribbean. Rain, seeing some over toward Guyana, moving into northern Venezuela, especially Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, and on the edge of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, keeping an eye on Barbados, most of it just south of St. Lucia in Barbados. But some reports of spotty power outages in Grenada and reports of the ongoing flooding now in Trinidad and Tobago of several inches of rain. Flash flooding. Grenada, we're going to be watching out for that as we go throughout the day. Trinidad and Tobago, kind of the bullseye for this tropical disturbance moving by. We'll see some of the rain bands filtering in, though, for our northern sections, even up toward Dominica, Martinique down the road. But St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have a chance of getting some rain and storms. More of it just to the south, though. All right, so I want to mention this, though, too. There's some zones that this is not going to go into, and again, a lot of the channels don't go into this, and I want to focus on this. Virgin Islands, British, U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic, we are fine. This is going to stay to our south. Cayman Islands, Jamaica, the bulk of this should stay to the south. We may eventually get some rain, though, and some storms from this system, but we do have some areas where this is not going. Storms don't hit all locations. So I want to pass along some good news too. All right, we're watching Tropical Depression 12. It is out there. It is going to stay out there. Our focus, again, that tropical depression on the center of your screen, which has a good chance of developing. The issue right now is not really an issue, but 12 stays away, not very organized. This, though, is dealing with land, again, running into Trinidad, Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, over toward northern Venezuela, seeing, again, that land interaction preventing some development, and that spin up to the north. That's the leftovers of Ian. All right, so this will progress through the Caribbean. I'm going to break down some scenarios. By the way, Florida, the Bahamas, high pressure and control, and even if that's not there, there's going to be some fronts. So again, staying to the south of Florida and the Bahamas. Now, this will move toward the ABC Islands, and we're going to dive into that in detail and then push over towards Central America. Down the road, yeah, we need to see, does this emerge more north over toward Mexico and the Yucatan and emerge in the Western Gulf and Bay of Campeche? Yeah, possibility. That is down the road, though. But at least in the short term, we know this is going to drive over toward Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. We're going to be watching northern Colombia over toward the peninsula and parts of northern Venezuela. And again, a few of the islands that we are seeing. So in these zones, tomorrow and Friday, we're going to see that better chance of rain. It still won't be a named system at this point, but flash flooding. Some of the weather we have right now in Trinidad and Tobago is headed our way toward the ABC Islands. Flash flooding, gust to 40 knots, 45 miles per hour, 2 to 6 inches of rain. And those tropical downpours, if you get some repeat ones, there could be a foot of rain. All right, down the road, other areas to watch. Late weekend into next week, Mexico, the Yucatan, Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. Most of this will stay to the north of Panama. Got my eyes on you, though, too. These spots, still a wait and see on what develops. There are a couple scenarios. The first one, a weaker storm. If this stays weak and even becomes a weaker tropical storm, it is more likely to stay south. I would head closer to Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. So a weaker system, an unnamed system, or weak tropical storm, it would stay more to the south and impact these areas. Of course, we'd still be watching over toward Belize and up to the north. But again, the focus would be over toward Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. Now, that is a scenario, and that's down the road. That's why these zones need to watch. Now, if this system becomes stronger, it would favor more of a northern track. Things that spin more tend to lift more and kind of go more to the north. So over toward Mexico, the Yucatan, watching over toward Belize, still Honduras, and keeping an eye on Nicaragua. But a stronger storm, either a strong tropical storm or hurricane, would favor a more northern track. Plus, it would be staying over land more. Either way, Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, parts of Colombia, we're going to be seeing this kind of working in. So those are the two scenarios. Stronger to the north, my friends in Belize. Weaker to the south, my friends in Nicaragua. And of course, I mentioned several other locations, just trying to kind of pinpoint on some zones. All right, here's the American model, the GFS. And this is taking you through the day today, the heavier weather where we have it right now, flash flooding, Barbados south a possibility. east, so we're going to monitor that carefully. Now, I'll show you this model, which is pretty similar to the European, so I'm only going to get into one model right now, so I'm watching everything out there, as you know. All right, this is by the time we get into tomorrow and Friday, heavier weather over the peninsula of Colombia, Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, watching northern ends of Venezuela, watching our islands for some heavier weather moving in. Tropical storm conditions, even though this won't be a named system, with that flash flooding that I broke down. Then this will continue to work its way to the west, and that's where it may strengthen. So by Saturday, you see it here working into the central and western Caribbean, keeping an eye on Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. The bulk of this will be to the south, but as it pulls off to the west, I could draw in some more moisture to the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. And then you see it here, potentially a tropical storm. It's still a wait and see. Is it going to be stronger and lift to the north? Is it going to stay weaker and stay to the south? Either way, we're going to get some rain working into parts of Central America. We're going to get some gustier winds working in. I just need to fine tune the forecast. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And right now, it's hard to tell how strong this will be. But anywhere, as I mentioned, from Costa Rica north through Belize and Mexico, we need to monitor this. And even into next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, we could still be dealing with the system potentially over toward the Yucatan or Belize. Just depends on kind of where it rolls in. So watching all of these zones. And then down the road, if it takes that more northern route, yeah, it could kind of just either wash out, so to speak, over in Mexico, or move into the Bay of Campeche. But again, there'll be fronts in areas of high pressure up toward Florida, keeping this to the south, just thinking of what we had with Ian. Next name on the list is Julia. Carl, then after that, Lisa, Martin, Nicole. Hopefully we don't have too many names. October, though, can be very active, and a lot of times we're looking closer to home for development. Not so much off the coast of Africa as the season starts to wind down, but it doesn't end until the end of November. And as I mentioned, October usually very active. Usually we almost get a secondary peak in activity, so I'm going to be watching everything. Anything spinning up, I'm on top of for you. I appreciate you sharing the channel. Clearly, we have a lot going on in the Caribbean, so I do this for safety, no other reason. Keep me posted on what's going on. I'll try to get to those comments. Thinking of you if you're dealing with the flooding. Please be safe. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for sharing the channel. Thank you to all our new subscribers. I hope you have a good and safe day ahead.